Hello guys, it's very good to see you on our another video where we will be talking about the latest steps of buying a property in Dubai in 2025. So we have came up with the 10 most frequently asked questions. What I will do is I'm gonna read every single question, then I'm gonna answer and elaborate on some questions, yeah? So let's start. So I'll start with the question number 1, which starts like, can foreigners still buy property in Dubai in 2025? Absolutely yes. So the complete territory of Dubai is technically divided into 2 areas. So we have leasehold areas and then we have freehold areas. Besides these 2 areas, we'll also have local areas. Now, the most of the territory of Dubai, which you know technically, let's say Dubai Marina, Palm Jumeirah, Downtown, Business Bay, JBR, Blue Waters, like all of Dubai, like the complete Dubai you know as an expat or a foreigner, yes, it absolutely can be purchased by expatriate or we call it is a freehold. Yeah, so that's the answer to the question. So we move now to question number 2. In this case is, what's the process of buying the property in Dubai? So the complete process of buying property in Dubai is technically divided into 4 steps. The first step will be signing, we call it MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, or Contract F. F for forest. So you sign Contract F or MOU. This is signed between the buyer and the seller, which technically locks the deal. This was step number 1. Step number 2 is the seller will receive NOC, no objection certificate, to sell the property. This document confirms that the property has no any liabilities or outstandings towards the developer or a property or the building management company, and then confirms the fact that there are no any legal cases to sell this property. This was step number 2. Step number 3, the buyer prepares the payments. In Dubai, you make a payment, a settlement with the seller using the manager check. Step number 3, the buyer prepares manager check. It is technically a bank's draft or the banker's check for the equal amount of a sales proceeds that the buyer is paying to the seller. And step number 4, all parties, they go to the registration trustee office and change the ownership. This was the process of buying the property in a secondary market, or we call it a resale. Now, if you're buying a property from a developer directly, it's even more easier. The developer will just simply send you the payment link or invoice to make a payment, and you will do a wire transfer. If you're buying the property from a developer, there are technically 3 steps. Step number 1 is to make a booking and reserve the property. Step number 2 is to sign SPA, sales and purchase agreement, and make your first down payment. And step number 3 will be to receive your ownership certificate, which we call OCOD. Now, let's move to our question number 3. How much down payment do I need to buy a property in Dubai? So for example, if you're buying from a developer, it can vary from one developer to another or from one project to another project. So if you're buying a property from a developer, it will completely depend on the payment plan the developer is proposing to you. Now, if you're buying on a secondary market, then you have to pay the complete purchasing price to the seller, unless you're going with a mortgage. Now, if you're going with a mortgage and you're an expatriate, you must have 20% as a down payment to buy a property in Dubai in a secondary market using mortgage. Now let's go to our next question. What are the additional fees I should budget for or I should pay? Now, so the additional fees besides the property purchase value or the property purchase price, in case of a primary market, there will be usually 4% for Dubai Land Department's fee, which is actually a government registration fee to register you as a new owner. Some developer, they might give you some offers, let's say waiver of these 4%. So in such case, developer will pay it. It's technically never waived by the government. So it all determines who's gonna pay it, either the buyer or a seller, who can be a developer, let's say. Some developers also make an offer such as like 2% waiver from the DLD fee. So this simply means instead of 4% that you will be paying only 2%. Now, if you're buying a secondary property, there will be 4% as well for the registration of yourself as a new owner. Besides that, there will be registration trustee office fee as well, which is technically an admin fee, and it can vary between 2,500 up to 5,250. And we can add here also 580 dirham for the new title deed or plus 40 dirham for a new code. However, some developers, besides 4%, also can charge you a 3,000 or sometimes 5,000 as an admin fee, or they refer to it as a code fee. Now let's jump into our next question. What is better, buying off-plan or ready property in 2025? So technically it's a very subjective question. It all comes to a conclusion or to a question: what is your purpose of buying a property in Dubai? So technically I found 4 main reasons why would somebody buy a property in Dubai. Where the reason number 1 would be to buy for using for himself, we call it end user. A second reason would be buying and then reselling, we call it flipping. And the third reason would be for a passive income, let's say a short-term rentals. When you buy a property to put it on a short-term rent, as a hotel room, let's say. And the reason number 4 will be for an annual rent. When you buy a property and then you rent it to one of the expatriates working in Dubai on an annual basis. So technically, coming back to the question, what's better, buying off-plan or ready? As I said, it's very subjective depending on your purpose, your budget, and your payment schedule. If you're somebody who doesn't have, let's say, a complete amount right now to pay, then maybe it will make the most sense to buy off-plan property. Because buying off-plan property usually, no, not usually, in all the cases in Dubai currently, you always get a payment plan where you're allowed to pay, let's say, 4 years, 5 years, or maybe 6 years. And some developers also, they come up with a post-handover payment plan. This is technically when you get the keys, you move inside the property, and you're given additional time or a breakdown of payments to pay while staying inside the property. So coming back to the answer to this question, I would say it's very subjective. It all depends on your purpose and your payment and your convenient payment schedule. If you have the complete amount to pay for a property, maybe it will make more sense to buy now and let's say to immediately put it on rent so it generates some revenue from day one. Or if you have some portion of the payments and you're not in a hurry or you don't intend to rent it, then it will make more sense to buy off-plan, and maybe you want to sell it later on when the price appreciates by the handover. So in this case, it will make more sense to go with the off-plan property. Now let's go to our next question. Is it safe to buy off-plan in Dubai? Yes, absolutely. Dubai has developed such an advanced and such a sophisticated process to secure the customer's rights as investors. Simply, let's say every developer, in order to sell you the property, should receive the sales proceeds in the dedicated escrow account, which is regulated and monitored regularly by the government. This simply means if developer sells you the property, he cannot use the sales proceeds for other purposes rather than to build the project for the money that he has received. Also, another aspect is the transparency that the government has brought into the picture. Literally any investor or even yourself, you can go to the website of Dubai Land Department and you can see the complete profile of every developer. Moreover, you can see the complete profile of the project, including the project's progress, along with the government reports from the inspection. So this all together makes it absolutely secure and safe for the investors to buy a property in Dubai. Another thing I should mention on that note is not every developer is allowed to build right from the start, because the developer ideally should have 40% of the budget to construct the project with himself, with the developer. So if developer doesn't have initial capital of up to 40%, he's simply not allowed to have a development license in Dubai. Now let's go to the next question. How can I get a mortgage as a non-resident or expat? Now, if you're an expat but you're a resident, it's quite easy to get a mortgage. All you need is to have a basic salary every month credited in your account. Now, if you're a non-resident, then things get a bit complicated, where you will need to confirm that you have some source of income in your country where you're coming from and to provide your proof of address to show that you have a legitimate source of salary paid to you or a business income. And then the bank will review your profile and accordingly will decide to give you or not to give you. Now, if you're a resident and expatriate staying in Dubai, all you need is just 1 or 2 weeks time to get your pre-approval. The moment you have a pre-approval, you can go and finalize the property you want to purchase. Very important here, no off-plan properties are allowed to buy using a mortgage till the time the building receives BCC, or we call it Building Completion Certificate. Now let's go to another question. Which areas offer the best ROI for investors in 2025? Very tricky question. ROI, it can depend on the operations or the procedures or the transactions that you need. For example, there can be ROI for a flipping when you buy a property and then you resell it. If you're going to buy a property then resell, lately the luxury segment was showing a very significant income generated by the investors. Now, if you're going with an annual rent as in terms of ROI, then areas like, let's say, downtown or DIFC, Dubai Marina, showed a good return as well. Now, if you're going with the short-term rentals, let's say holiday homes, in terms of ROI, then the touristic destinations will be the best, including the top ones like Business Bay and JBR. Let's go to our another question. Can I get a golden visa by buying a property in Dubai? Yes, absolutely. I think that's a very widely discussed topic in Dubai. For you to get a golden visa with a 10 years of residency, which can help you to easily get a bank account opened and then to stay in Dubai with no restrictions and limitations, for that you simply need to purchase a property that worth or that has a value of 2 million dirham. You can also get a 2 years visa if you have a property worth 750,000 dirhams. So let's go now to question number 10 and the final one for today. How do I avoid scams or overpriced deals when buying a property? So technically, this answer I would like to break into the two parts. Part number one is securing yourself depending on who you're dealing with, let's say the real estate agent. And the second part is how to make sure that you're not overpaying for the property. Now, for example, to secure yourself in terms of the party that you're dealing with, let's say a real estate broker or a brokerage company, make sure that you check this brokerage company being registered on Dubai Land Department website. You can simply verify by going to a licensed real estate agents section on the Dubai Land Department website, put in the search bar the name of the agency or the agent you're dealing with. It will open up the profile of the company, will show you the license, the expiry of the license, and the history of the transactions of this company. Make sure that you deal with the legitimate and the licensed registered real estate agents. When you do your due diligence in terms of the brokerage company you're working for, that's a 50% success. Now, however, some real estate companies might have the wrong people maybe working for them. So therefore, it will make more sense for you to check also the deal you're going to go through. For that, you just need to make sure that you do your due diligence in terms of a market study. You can go to the property portals. There are the main property portals in Dubai, which are Property Finder, Bayut, and Dubizzle. Just check in the search menu the similar properties value. Because Dubai is doing a great job in terms of cleaning all the fake listings and advertisements. So the property you're going to see on the portals, most likely or with a very high probability, will be authentic. So you can check on the portals the value of this property. Moreover, Dubai gives you an open data of the recent transactions as well, where you can see when the similar property was sold and what was the value of this property as well. Now, when you decide to go and proceed with the deal, also make sure from your side you verify the title deed of the owner as well. And making sure that there are no cases, no any outstandings or liabilities on the properties. And this you can also do on the Dubai Land Department website or simply using the app called Dubai Rest, which stands for Real Estate Self-Transaction, Dubai Rest. And you can do that using the service called Inquiry, I think, Property Status Inquiry, if I'm not mistaken. So that's it for today. I hope these answers were very helpful for you. I hope you liked this video, and you could definitely support us by subscribing, hitting the like button, and if you have any questions, write down in the comment section. We'll definitely answer in our next video. Thank you and have a great day.